Alright guys, welcome back. So again, we've been over this about a million times on the broadcast, but there's still people joining us who don't seem to understand or weren't here earlier when we expressed how this will work. So again, Rogue just finished playing GSL Live. There was no way he was possibly going to get back home in time to play, much less be, I don't know, in the energy/mindset to do so. So we did have him and Solar play these replays out before he went to GSL. And I don't mean like a week ago, I mean literally before he went to GSL. So Solar and Rogue played this matchup like not even, I think, 15 or whatever hours ago. So he is he is all Gucci. He's covered. This is not like anything that's gonna stress him out because he already played these. Now, that being said, I need to warn you guys about the stupidity of something that happened here. And I don't know if it sounds like it to you, but I'm rubbing my temples right now because
Okay.
I expressly put out rules when if we do have to do replays for any of these sort of events, guys, we have two rules. The first one is actually acceptable if players don't follow it, but it's whatever. And the first rule is you have to use the BaseTradeTV graphs mod. That way we have things like WCS mods built in, and we can look at all this stuff as observers easier. The other rule is actually a tournament rule, and both of these players were giving warnings for this because both of them played on fucking barcodes in a ZvZ. So luckily, at least their colors were consistent in every game, so we know that in every matchup, Solar is the red player and Rogue is the yellow player. But just keep in mind that this is actually not okay, and again, they were both given very serious warnings about this. So let's hop into it. So again, these are replays, but these are replays that are not old. These are not like a week old. These are fresh, hot off the presses replays. Zombie Grub doesn't know the tournament results. Take TV doesn't know the tournament results. There's no spoilers to be had because I'm the only one who has all the replays, and I'm hosting the lobbies to avoid specifically that problem. But my apologies to you, Zombie Grub, as you are going to have to do your own observing for this game in this series.
Oh, nuts.
I tried to guess where the names would be on the overlay. I missed. Let's fix that. All right. Solar versus Rogue. This is the best we're getting, guys. No, Naruto, I literally just told you, mate. Solar equals red.
I could have guessed that. Rogue always picks yellow.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hop into this first game at a best of 5. We got an early pull coming down out of this gentleman in the top left. It's going to be none other than last season's champion, the Yellow Zerg Rogue.
In the bottom right, the red Zerg, he is Samsung Galaxy's Solar.
Now, I think it's safe to say that there's a lot of favoritism on Rogue in this matchup. Solar's pretty good, don't get me wrong. I really like Solar. We've seen him rise through the ranks of being like a low-tier Korean to being like one of the top-tier Zergs in Korea. But Rogue has had a better title. He's had better, I guess, like in Korea results, even though Solar's won like a DreamHack and stuff like that. I don't know, the Season 1 TING champion says a lot, but the irony here is Rogue's played 2 best of 5s this whole season. Solar played through qualifiers, he played through 2 different group stages. Like, Solar's had to play a lot to get here.
Yeah, so much. And maybe it's like, your parents pay for college, you don't matter, you don't care as much, or maybe it's not, I don't know. But
well, I don't know about not caring as much. He sneaks past the Overlords with delicate care.
I actually can't possibly get this. For Koreans, sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes a curse for them to be so, every tournament is the same to me, but the same in that I have to, they still do 100%. Sometimes I feel like it's again, the curse or blessing, but that's often what I feel, though. It's like Rogue might not care the most that it's done by BaseTradeTV and that it's helping esports and stuff like that. He just cares that he can win some money and he can beat other people with it.
I will say, as much as... Okay, well, first off, might actually get the hatch here, which is going to suck for Solar.
He will, yeah, for sure.
But as much as BaseTradeTV may not be like a big name in Korea, as we learned with the SOS ban, it does carry some weight to it, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. I think that in the same way that, we have like haters.
Flawless
that
execution.
Was flawless. We have haters. We also have people that are just like, they'll straight up be like, without them, like, where would StarCraft 2 be? I think that Korea knows us, but they don't have that same, like, where would StarCraft 2 be?
Yeah, they don't have that second
they're
element
very,
to it,
Korean do Korean. Anyway, so that was flawless. That was like exactly what you would want from a non-gas opener.
Yeah, and
pull first.
Well, this is the problem with this, though, right? Like, so first off, that was a flawless attack. He lost one single link to Scott in the main, took his natural behind it. Rogue nailed it on all fronts. But Solar does have gases coming. Like, or not gases coming down. He's got gas incoming. He's got speed on the way. If you want to go for a Baneling Nest, he certainly could. He's got the 50 gas specifically for that, depending on what he scouts.
And then he canceled it.
Oh, okay, then I missed that. My bad. He goes for a third hatchery instead. Whoa.
Okay, all right. I don't. Yeah, I think that's the better choice, especially because it's Frozen Temple. Okay, sure, Rogue would probably not have his own speed at the very least, although he might have his own Banelings. The possibility of him walling off, I think, is a little too high to try and force a counter. So just keeping him contained because Solar will have the speed and the map control, and going for your own third is probably the better choice. I like it better anyway.
Yeah, I mean, especially if Solar realized right off the bat, because I mean he's a smart enough player to do this, right? That Rogue had played gasless, knowing that there was no imminent speedling attack, knowing that there weren't Banelings on the way. This is something you can actually kind of get away with. And we all know as well, Lings with good surrounds will catch any amount of small roaches. So even if Rogue had been rushing that direction, it still wouldn't have worked for him. So Solar definitely has the worst end of these openings, but he's making the best of it. And I actually really like this recovery process.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's better than trying to force the counter all in, which he would have met this exact wall just earlier, and he probably would not have been able to bust through enough. Now he's still down, like, he's still catching up on drones. Of course, 300 minerals went to hatchery, not into more drone making, but now he will have basically another larva factory, so I think he'll catch up eventually. But, if we had the graphs mod, I think that Rogue has been winning for some time, and that will, of course, really add up to possibly a bigger army, at the very least faster tech, which is what's happening right now.
I'm actually casting this game, by the way, from XSplit, just because it's got the names on it for me. Like, I keep reading 2 barcodes.
Yeah, I'm really fortunate that I always view Rogue as yellow. That's the only thing that's been saving me. So I've almost said the wrong one.
Someone said it jokingly in chat, but for me, solar equals sun equals yellow. Like, it doesn't equal red for me. So it's kind of like, I guess I'm not enough of a Rogue fan. But anyways, Queens at the wall. This has been held pretty well. Roach is on the way, and Solar's a little bit late to that Roach game. He did drone, get a bunch of drones behind this. But that army supply out of Rogue is looking real good, Zombie Rob. It's looking real good.
Yeah. Yes, it is. But Solar's on to his own Roaches, at the very least. He'll be behind no matter what, +1 in Roach speed, but maybe you can hold on to an attack. I actually Spire.
Okay, okay. If Solar was going Spire, I'd be like, okay, kind of makes sense. Rogue, after having invested in roaches like this,
I think both going for Spire is an option. I agree. Like, if Solar had gone for it, I wouldn't be surprised. Rogue going for it, I guess I'm not that surprised either. I do feel like the Spire is almost like. Actually, I can't think of an equivalent right now, but it's like it can either bring you back in a game or it can solidify a win in a game. Either way, it's going to be a surprise.
Yeah, the funny thing is with Solar having gone for that third hatchery, if he had a lot of queens out, maybe the Spire wouldn't be such a big problem.
Such a big deal. Yeah.
I did like the amount of Lings, by the way. The presence they were providing on the other side of the map really did keep Rogue at home, but when he realized they left, of course, that's when he starts poking out himself. But Solar's got a nice amount of roaches on this side. He's down in upgrades, though. That's going to favor Rogue for a bit. Rogue's got speed. He's got +1. That'll be finishing up for Solar here soon, but not quite yet. And, of course, then there's that question of the Spire. For Solar, I don't know what you really do, how to scout this. Like, you're not going to have Lings getting through to the main unless you're really, really lucky. Overlords won't get in because of Queens. Seeing this coming just simply might not be in the cards for Solar.
Yeah.
In fact, I actually feel really bad and worry for Solar quite a bit right now. Again, if he had, like, a lot of Queens producing, he's actually fine, but he's not.
Yeah, or if he had attacked, But to him, with his limited scouting, he's thinking, like, okay, there's got to be, like, 20 more roaches behind this because he was definitely ahead in this game. He's not thinking that there's been a bank for Mutas this entire time. So kind of unfortunate. He also, I think, was going to wait for his +1 on roach speed no matter what, which is only just finishing up. And the Mutas, unfortunately, well, there they are. They're showing themselves. They're going to start adding a bit of damage to all of those roaches. And so he doesn't really have any response but to just try and attack.
That's very true. I wish his speed was done, because if his speed was done, he would have got here lickety-split. And that army supply was reigning supreme, but 2 spine crawlers, the Muta's on his back, heals. The Lings do provide a nice amount of cannon fodder, but even if he breaks Rogue's roach wall, the Muta should still be able to clean this up. GG, in fact, just going to get called, and, well, the barcode wins the game. Oh, god damn it. If we're not paying attention towards the end of a game, we're not going to know who won the game.
Well, yeah. Hopefully we do. It's not just like a what? Who tapped out? I don't know.
All right, well, Rogue will take that first game, and we'll hop into the second one as quick as we can. Galactic Process is going to be the map. Now, again, I can see you guys in chat. Hello, hi, hope you're having a good morning, but some of you are still confused as to what's going on. These 5 games, these 4 games, these 3 games, whatever this best of 5 leads into, these are all through replays, okay? The next series is going to be live. Beyond vs. Hydra is not played from replays. That's played live. This was being done to accommodate Rogue's GSL schedule, guys. So that being said, looks like we got everyone here, so we'll just hop right into the next map, Galactic Process. Sorry, I was checking my AC. But yeah, so Galactic Process, one of the newer maps. I am curious to see how quickly all these Koreans like adapt to it. But let's hop into the game. And of course the players, you know what? The bar at the bottom, guys, is just not going to match their spawn locations. Forgive me, please. But at the bottom left side of the map, he is yellow and he is up 1 game currently in this series. It's going to be Rogue.
The top right is the Red Zerg. He is solar.
Now, what's kind of interesting to me about ZvZ is you've got a couple different dynamics on, I will say, the length of games. Some are going to be abruptly over like we saw. Like, okay, you could have argued that Solar could have kept fighting and he could have made Queens and Spores back at home. But it's kind of like one of those to what avail. So you quit and go into the next game where you hope to get ahead and have a better game for it. Alternatively, we might see a lot of like really long Roach versus Roach games as Zerg has kind of classically gone. But that would be something I would say, I think, if we were casting more foreigners. Koreans tend to get pretty aggressive, and whether it's early pools or not, they're not the type to sit there and play passive for too long. And I know that neither Solar nor Rogue, seeing them play versus others, has really played anything too long.
Yeah, most of the time for sure. There was that Beyond versus like a live game or whoever that was really oddly passive, but yeah.
See, that's TVT though, right? Like that's a whole nother.
No, I can't even say that. Like TVT is also usually really aggressive with Korean Terrans. That was really just an oddity for two games or 3 games. I can't remember if it was best of 3, best of 5. Anyways, to be so passive, but regardless of that, Billy Zane won. Thanks for the 10-month resub.
It says Hippity hype.
Oh, like hippity doo dah. Okay, got it. I was like, who's hippity? Who's that bitch? But also,
wow, you got jealous really quick.
I seriously get jealous. Rogue going for not an early pool, but a pool first, with a gas actually shortly before that pool. So he will have super quick speed. And it is up to Solar to recognize exactly what build this is. Unfortunately, I think it gets a little tricky, especially on like longer maps, because the hatchery, I think, actually finishes on like, you know, if you scout incorrectly on Frost, I think it finishes. Maybe like on Dusk Towers would have finished too. I'm not sure, but he does see that it's still building and knows that it is at very least on a hatchery first.
Well, one of the things going forward with this, of course, now seeing chat's reaction to that last game, hype to the stream delay. I'm not surprised everyone's still very much Rogue favorite for this. I am too. Just, again, Season 1 champion, better player overall, one of the more hard-to-get Koreans, if you will. Just a lot going for him, for certain. But I'm going to see what the Partouf bets are.
Okay. Well, Solar does know that it's probably going to be really fast speed and should be conservative. I don't think he doesn't know for sure it's a Baneling Nest, but it is.
It's actually more bets on Solar. 7,000 on Solar, 6,000 on Rogue.
Interesting. Wonder what, I mean, I realize Solar is more of like a BaseTradeTV favorite, but usually people give a lot of credit to Korean like hopefuls, so you feel Rogue is more of interesting.
Certainly. I mean, for me, yeah, I always bet with the people I know, I guess. So if you're just like a BaseTradeTV fan, you've seen Solar a dozen times more than you've seen Rogue.
Well, while Rogue opened up with, I think, what could have been a more aggressive build, like he could have used his faster speedlings to his advantage and a faster Baneling Nest as well, he actually uses it defensively and seems to want to go into maybe a faster Spire, but unfortunately he lets the Lings through. That wasn't supposed to happen at all, I'm going to go ahead and guess.
Especially with Banelings. I mean, the timing there was so perfect for Solar to just barely get in here, but even then, that first Baneling takes a good hit. Second Baneling gets a pretty nice hit. Nothing too devastating just yet. Some Lings run to the natural to try and get drones over here. Worker kill count's kind of racking up. It's about 5 dead so far, but Rogue is down
Okay.
10 workers overall.
Oh, Roach Warren. I don't know if that was originally his plan. He does have 3 out of 4 gases. Of course, now 2 of them aren't mining. But it is going to be roaches. Solar goes for roaches as well and just gets kind of catch up on lair. He's got third base already down, though. That's a big difference.
Man, I don't know what it is about casting replays that throws everybody off. I'm almost going on tilt just reading like the misunderstandings in chat. This is a live cast. There's no rebroadcast of this yet. If your time zone syncs up with what is about 6:30 a.m. Pacific, then you know that this is live. Any other time, then it's a replay of a replay of a replay. But
Ooh, I wondered. I wondered if it would be a Nidus Worm. This might work out. I'm actually not too hopeful for it, though.
The only time I'm ever sold on this is when we see mutas definitively being a problem and you want to get under the map to get around them. But Solar's not doing that. He's 3 bases, he's going to have roaches and probably adequate defense.
Yeah, it seems to be that if the other person's going roaches, the Nidus Worm never works. Like, it really has to catch someone being very, very greedy, which maybe Solar's being. I mean, Solar's getting nothing but drones for the past 30 seconds.
He is, and that might be a problem. But be still my beating heart. Thank you to Jin LeMay in chat. Finally, someone explains this to the other people in chat. This is, yes, thought you were trolling. Rogue played this just before GSL. BaseTradeTV is live at the moment, and the next match will be live as well. Thank you. Oh my gosh. It's my dream that chat walks people through this so I don't have to. Anyways, the Nidus Worm does catch Solar off guard. I would hate for this to be a 2-0, but that kind of is the direction it's heading. Now, the army supply is not so bad, not so bleak for Solar, but some of that's still in production is the issue.
Yeah. The Nidus Worm is taken care of, though, and that... I guess the queens are out. The roaches still have a long way to go, though, on the left
Another
process.
Nidus Worm coming in. Drones getting pulled into this, gonna catch Solar, but I guess this is the thing. Solar's has so many drones to lose in the first place. 50 to 34, and they're not even going down that quickly.
Even with so much droning, he still handles it.
I'm surprised Solar was able to recover from such a greedy spot, but congratulations to him. Ties it up now 1-1. Now, I want to just throw in another bit of information here, guys. Well, I'm the only one who can see the replays and know like how many games and how much the score is going to be. I haven't actually watched any of these, so like that was cool to see. I like that. That was good. But we're going to go to a small commercial break, just 2 minutes. Let Take TV know as well. 2-minute break. And we'll see you guys for Game 3 when we return. All right, folks, we're back. Thanks for watching that break. As we get into this next game, it's going to be on Frost. And we're just taking a moment here so you guys don't have any accidental spoilers. There we go. All right, best of 5 continues. It's tied up 1-1. And spawning here on the bottom right side of the map, it's going to be the yellow Zerg player, the Korean badass himself, Rogue.
In the bottom left as the red Zerg, he is Solar.
So I just want to make a quick moment of reassurance for everybody that the semifinals and finals we will not be accepting replays for. Well, we were a little accommodating because the round of 8 was something we had to push as a necessity. And we allowed replays to be played for this, and even though the players broke the rules with the replays and blah, 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 we will not be accepting replays for semifinals or finals. Those matches will all be live, and if somebody cannot attend, they will be replaced by one of their opponents they defeated. So, for example, let's say hypothetically Rogue wins the series, because I think that's what a lot of us might assume, and he can't show up live for the semifinals, then we'll just bring Solar back for it. That sort of thing.
Yeah. Can't tell if people actually don't know who won, so just, if you're ever unsure, you can look at the scoreboard.
Well, part of that, too, is, like, if you really did just, in fairness, sit down, join the stream recently, and you don't really understand what's going on, then, yeah, I can understand that confusion. Again, I'm not going to lie, guys, very upset with Solar and Rogue. And even though Solar is a pretty close friend of ours, I was very stern with him about saying don't ever do this again or you will not be okay to do stuff with us in the future. Same with, I told Rogue, but in a much more professional term. Solar, just being our bro, is easier to talk to, I guess, in that way.
Yeah. Rogue is not our bro. We hate Rogue.
Well, Rogue's English is actually nowhere near as good as Solar's either. Solar has some of the best English, so for him it's really easy to talk casually to. Rogue, my message was simply, Rogue, you equals break rules. And he's like, question mark? And I'm like, barcode. Ah, like that was the conversation.
You have some amazing Korean English translations. Thank
Right?
you.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm basically a translator. They should hire me to do things at embassies.
They should hire you as an interviewer. I think you'd be doing a lot better than some other people.
Ooh, okay. Thank you, Kenley, I guess. No
You're
further
welcome.
comments. Bailey Nest on the other side of the map does start off for Solar, but I'm curious if this is going to be offensive or defensive, right? Because on one hand, you're like, ZvZ, classic Lings and Banelings. But on the other, this Bailey Nest isn't always something you want to invest into. Frost has got tight chokes. 3 evolution chambers can wall it off if he sees it coming early enough. It might actually just be defensive. It could be offensive. We'll find out in a moment, because a lot of that has to do with when Solar decides to cut his drones.
Well, cancels it, so whatever.
Okay, I like that choice actually quite a bit, realizing the pace of the game. Sees the Ro8 at the front with these 2 Lings, and doesn't want to spend any gas anywhere he can't afford it.
Well, Rogue, going for these roaches, going for the wall off again, it's very similar to Frozen Temple. The distance you between the hatchery and the wall up, and I guess the wall up itself, actually. So pretty easy. Just like 2 queens instead of 1 in there, and you're good to go. And he will be getting the upgrade and probably the layer faster. Solar goes for an evolution chamber and a layer. Still no Roach for him. Oh, there it is. Okay, never mind. Oh, it's like Roach. We love roaches.
Yeah, and that might just... Frost being what it is, this might be one of those games we had discussed earlier. I mean, to be honest, ZvZ doesn't have a lot of flexibility the same way TVT doesn't. You're going to see a Marine tank for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
Ooh.
ZvZ, roaches maybe eventually get passed up if you can get to Hive Tech, but for the most part, you're limited to layer at most.
I thought that Rogue was going to start as +1 in layer because he got the evolution chamber, but it's actually almost a fake. If Solar sees the same thing and thinks the same thing, like, oh, he's got an evolution chamber, he must be going for the upgrade. Double checks, see it not wiggling and jiggling, and sees all the army coming out. Not being for a bit of a surprise, he does start producing army now, but only after droning 14 more drones than Rogue. And Rogue's like going super all in with this. He does the 3rd base and he does start the +1, but it's still a surprise.
It's enough of a move out that like Solar sees all this coming is the thing. It's still gonna be tough. The spine card not gonna be done for this fight initially. The choke's gonna be good for helping fight against the Lings. Drones get pulled into this and they try to drone drill through, get a little bit of extra damage on the roaches. This is still gonna cost him. Now he's got about 10 workers he can afford to lose, but it says, hey, you know what? I've held this well enough for the time being. Spinecaller finishes up, and while all the queens did die, his army supply might actually be able to defend this 3rd. It doesn't have Lings, unfortunately, to help buffer, but he's got roaches for damage.
He doesn't... I would say maybe he doesn't even have to save the 3rd base, and this might have been a mistake.
Maybe. He does manage to get the fight baited back to the Spinecaller, but yeah, with the queen over here offensively from Rogue.
Queen. Go back!
She is. Wow,
It was a
okay.
mistake, wow.
See you in 100 years.
The 3rd base does go down, but I think that's something that Solar had to let go, and might not be so worse off for letting go. He still was up like 11, 12 drones for a good time, and he does have that lair, so it's not like he's falling behind in that regard. He is starting to fall behind in the +1 though, for sure, really far behind, and that 3rd base is getting saturated already from Rogue, so he is in a pickle, but I think he would have lost the game had he tried to save that 3rd base. Just straight up.
Well, rocks have broken down over here. Just make sure you won't have to get caught funneling through a choke. Links to the south, don't really see anything worth scouting, but that's okay. I don't think you'd see a 4th stretched out unless you're playing super crazy. Overseer is also peeking in over here for Solar, and this one's going to morph it to try and save itself. So, overall, good stabilization after a very, very scary attack.
Yeah, it was definitely scary. And maybe had he been a little more greedy on his roaches or his drones, it would have been game over. The game continues. Solar has at least a chance to bring this back with some clever moves, but Rogue is winning for sure. He's got that army, he's got that upgrade. He's about to have speed.
I like this is cute. The necessity for creep was here for the Spinecaller earlier, and he decides to drop with Overlords, and Plan to creep timber down. Clever out of solar.
Mm-hmm.
This third, though, is going to be a real pain in the butt to set up. And I guess this is where, once again, I really wish we did have the graph mod on. So, again, shame on both of you for not following the rules. But I am curious to see just how much this is equalized over time. Rogue's got a big army supply lead. But Solar, of course, had so many more drones early on. So is this, I don't know, a result of that third base going down? Either way, 27 roaches to 23. The Spine Crawler falls immediately. 50 Lings on top of this. Really, for me, solidifies Rogue being able to take this fight. Defender's advantage is a hell of a thing, but I don't know if that's going to be enough for Solar. In fact, the Queen comes back. She's just battle medic transfusing.
Rogue took that battle even more than I thought he would, since he was only 18 supply up, but he really took it. GG.
Yeah, GG. So that's game number 3 going in the favor of Rogue. I know the barcodes are hard to read, guys, but this will take us to a game 4 on King Sejong Station.
You all ready then?
Get TIG in here and get this 4th game going. So at this rate, I will say these matches are playing out way faster than expected. And if that's the case, I don't actually know if Hydra will be awake yet.
Yeah, Hydra.
We did give Hydra the best time slot that we could for this, but we also had to respect the fact that it is really late for Beyond too, so the sooner we can start, the better for Beyond, but maybe not necessarily for Hydra. So after this series concludes, because maybe it ends here in Game 4, maybe it goes to Game 5, you don't know, I'm the only one who knows, but if it does end here, then we'll have to wait quite a bit of time perhaps. I'll poke after and we'll see what's going on, but just so everyone is fully aware, there may be some downtime if that's the case. Because again, Beyond and Hydra is being cast live, not from replays.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Still wake up.
You're excused.
There we go. Hop into the game. Everything's all hidden nicely. Oh, exploit! Don't do this. Not now. There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we continue on here with the best of 5. Spawning here in the top left side, he is the Season 1 champion for Ting. It is Rogue.
In the bottom right, as the red Zerg, he is Solar.
Now, we haven't talked about the sponsors much in this series, so I want to quickly give them a shout out. If you don't know, the $5,000 prize pool for this StarCraft 2 event has been provided by TING. TING is a U.S. mobile phone service and sadly only limited to the United States, but if you plan to tour there, like, example, me as a Canadian, might save you some money to actually use their services because it's cheaper than roaming, at least for me. Go to bttv.ting.com to learn more. They even have a savings calculator there, so if you are a permanent U.S. resident, you do perhaps want to consider checking out their rates. They will actually help you figure out whether you'll save money with the current plan, another plan, or their plan. The drone scouting is something we should have drawn attention to because this doesn't happen too often. And we've actually discussed the merits of how bad this can be sometimes.
I saw the drone move out, and then I don't know, I thought I was looking for, like, proxy filing because I was completely not remembering it was ZvZ. So it is weird, for sure, but for the drone, it loses, basically the 2 drones it loses. One that's, obviously scouting, the one that is lost from the minerals lost. It does provide a lot of safety, and you can kind of make up for it, I think, with a faster third base before pool, if you see that you can, right? It's not an early pool from Rogue.
Yeah, so both players with very quick setups as far as, we'll say, I'm going to put greed with an asterisk or air quotes. I don't even know which fits that better, but 3 hatcheries down on both sides of the map. So this might actually not be one of those really quick. We've had really quick games is my point up to this point. I was expecting one of them to go long. I was expecting the last one to go long actually with roaches and whatnot, but I don't know. I guess with Koreans, never expect the slow passive play. Not from both. Yeah. Maybe one, but not from both.
Yeah. Well, it is ZvZ, and while they initially start off with 3 bases each, at any point one could be like, oh, just kidding, I was actually going to use that third base as, mining. I was just going to use it as, fake, and they can go all in, and that's what makes this matchup pretty tricky. Yeah, already we have, I guess, a bit of a difference. Solar goes for a couple of lings here, or Rogue. I guess already has lings, never mind. They're just running across the map. But yeah, they're both pretty much just droning. It would have been very, very greedy for any of them to skip speed, like too greedy. But I wondered, yeah, if anyone was going to skip Baneling Nest. Solar throws his down first. Will Rogue? Will Rogue even
Well,
care?
so Solar did this last time, right? Where he goes to the Baneling Nest, and it may have been for defensive purposes, but upon scouting, canceled it pretty quickly. And going back on the gas point for a moment, like you're going to be on 3 bases, but your gas income is still limited no matter how many bases you have by the amount of extractors. So if your opponent's going roaches, you can't even afford to have spent that 50 gas on the Baneling Nest if you need to get those extra roaches out.
Mm.
So unfortunately, he's not going to scout anything that'll tell him to cancel it. It's not going to end Solar's life to have banelings, of course, but it's not going to be what he wants.
It is one thing to get the Baneling Nest and another to add on 7 Banelings blindly. That is a lot more expensive. He adds on 2, and he really doesn't need them. But he saw speed from his opponent. There's no, for him, right, there's been no scouting. There's no guarantee there aren't Banelings coming up soon.
One thing to note, last game, Solar, had he been able to clear out those 50 lings or whatever it was that Rogue had over him with a couple of good baneling hits, his roaches may have actually been able to fight against rogues. So that doesn't look like that's the direction this is heading. I was going to say this could play a factor later on. This is a pretty big attack out of Solar, and there's about 16 more lings on the way behind it. So he's really looking to hit Rogue before he's got that massive supply of roaches.
He's just a little bit too late, though.
Yeah.
That was probably his better opportunity, was when he was trying to attack, but he backed off instead. So the Banelings do feel a little useless. They could probably try and waddle into the third base eventually.
I mean, I'm not feeling super hot about Solar's position right now.
Yeah, that's true, but he could... Yeah, I think he can surround here. Rogue needs a wall to go up against. Target fires the Banelings.
These 2 roaches on the south side getting surrounded immediately was really nice. And while he does target fire down the Banelings, Solar target fired down that Ravager being hatched in too.
That one Baneling almost worth the Baneling Nest.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the thing too. It is only going to be one player who has Banelings while this goes on. So whether it's a surprise hit here or there, maybe they wiggle into the worker lines because someone's not paying attention up here. I don't know, for Solar, like, he's still not fighting with a great force. We got Rogue moving on to that layer, Solar as well. He's got his own Roach Warren finishing up, as well as that Evolution Chamber on the way. So this might turn into Roach vs. Roach a little bit later, but nice backs against the wall. Solar should be able to still win this fight, but Rogue trading cost effectively.
Oh, I thought these lings would be able to do more. Never mind. Okay. Yeah, that wasn't so bad. Rogue took the best fight that he could, and he has more roaches on the backside. It's not like it's like, oh god, now the tumble effect starts. But I thought those 6 lings would get something done. They actually get to the main base and get like 2 drone kills, I think. But I thought they were gonna get like the queen and more at the third.
Total of 1 dead.
Oh, okay. 1 almost other died. But yeah, I thought they were gonna get more regardless if it was 2 or 1. The game continues, and Rogue has had a economic lead a bit longer. Solar is definitely caught up, though, and he's even a little ahead on drones now. But okay, only for a time. Rogue built 11 more. I guess it is, at this point, they don't see any armies moving across the map. Now Solar does, but there was a point where it's just like, okay, it's kind of calmed down for a little bit, and we probably should both get to, like, the 60-plus drones, maybe even a 4th base if they think you can reach out for it. But, of course, Solar is now going to have to deal with an attack. Rogue follows up with a Spire. Maybe this is just Rogue. He likes the Spire follow-up in any matchup.
Well, Solar's actually down in roaches. I think if Rogue had just dedicated to the roach route, he would have stayed ahead. But, whoa, Solar's also going to do it. Maybe he knows Rogue. So, I mean, Muta versus Muta is not uncommon, but Muta versus Muta after roaches, less uncommon, or even more uncommon. But Muta versus Muta after this big of a dedication to roaches on both sides is really uncommon.
Yeah. Yeah, we have seen it before, but it is certainly a more uncommon. It's going to be interesting, I guess, whoever scouts this first is always, like, I guess, the thing, right? And, it's definitely going to be Rogue.
Yeah.
Rogue is a changeling in the main base, and he sees it. He was right on top of that Spire.
So, nice scouts. We'll see how much he dedicates to this. He knows this is ahead, so it might just be, like, fine with that. Someone comment, though, someone in chat saying, I can't believe there's gambling going on in this chat after all the recent scandals. You can feel good knowing that it's all fake money, though, dude, and there's no real life transactions, there's no skins to trade, and there's no... You can't even buy Partoofs anymore. Once upon a time, you would get Partoofs for donating, you can't even do that, so calm yourself and don't freak out, because Partoofs are all just for fun.
Yeah.
Partouf is just for fun. I'll like tickle his tummy now and be like, woohoo!
I don't think you'd like that.
No, Partouf would probably not be appreciative of that. I don't imagine he's somebody who likes getting touched randomly as such. Now the attack from Solar commences with 35 roaches. Now 9 mutas are out, and this looks very similar to that first game. And I don't know. He's got a better ground fight. There's no doubt about it. But the mutas will still eventually clean this up, right? So I don't know. Like this looks so good initially, and you're like, slaughter the roaches, kill the 4th base, fantastic. But then lose everything and perhaps slowly die out.
Well, Solar, the difference between this game and the last time we saw mutas is that he has his own mutas, and maybe he can even get more. No, not
That's
quite.
true.
It'll be
he will have anti-air this time, because I guess the first game we had no queens whatsoever, no spore crawlers. So yeah, that was probably why it was so bleak. Solar with his own mutas to dance with is sitting on 10 to 10, even footing.
Yeah. Now he got the 4th base, and I think maybe even 1 or 2 drones. Yeah, 1 drone with the leftover roaches. But Solar might be able to save his 4th base. It looks like he will, and that is a pretty big difference to start off with. Rogue has more drones, a little oversaturated. No 4th base to transfer to. Solar a little less, but he's got the gases droned up first and foremost. I'm not sure how this game is going to go, to be honest. I think it's still pretty even. But Muta versus Muta can easily snowball one or the other, especially if one of them decides not to go into mutas. Rogue goes for +1 carapace. Why does Solar go for +1 weapons?
Yeah, that's interesting, because Solar knows better.
He might... That's the thing, again, I guess, is one of them might think the other is not sticking on mutas.
Yeah, that's
That
true.
might be Solar. Otherwise, +1 carapace is usually the way to go.
I do want to... So here's my thought process on it, right? He might have thought that Rogue would have stopped going into it after Solar won the first fights so badly, but in that case, +1 weapons would be better. I just want to point out, though, the difference between +1 weapons and carapace is not monumental. It's not like having an extra muta, but it is statistically better to have armor than it is weapons.
There are ways to overcome it, but it is the better upgrade. It's a little more expensive, and that's kind of, I guess, the trade-off. But anyway, the thing is, they never actually fought with the mutas. So to assume that your opponent stopped making them was very bold.
You know what? Solar's up mutas, and I mean, it only takes 1 extra muta to win a fight, and he's got an extra 4 to win the war.
That is actually too much. Extra 4s is too much. Like an extra 1 or 2, I think maybe a bit of micro and lings on the ground, and your opponent not having lings, might make up for it. But yeah, the thing about muta, you don't want to engage unless you are for certain you have more mutas. It should be very hard to tell.
I guess he took that 5th in response to losing his 4th earlier, so Rogue's actually up bases now. He's got a decent worker count too.
Hmm.
The muta count just continues to grow on both sides. And I guess to bring up a point again about what you were just discussing with the lings, it's not going to take a lot, but having a small handful of lings underneath the muta wars, while they can't shoot up, they'll soak the Glaveworm bounces, and that will mitigate damage. But still, the numbers favor Solar by a fair margin. Not by a lot, but again, 3 can make a world of difference when it comes to fighting. Rogue's going for that +2 carapace. Solar continues to just make more mutas instead, which again might be the better option, all things considered. But
whoa, it's micro.
Oh, Solar don't through the game like this.
Still not devastating, and he's still winning. Lings need to get on the ground if Rogue wants to win, I believe. He is definitely losing the numbers.
How is Solar winning this fight after getting caught like that? He took so many hits initially.
He was up 3 mutas, which is definitely a very big deal. Like, and Rogue definitely should have disengaged once he realized it wasn't absolutely winning for him, because that is the thing about mutas.
I mean, it's kind of hard to run away from something that moves at the same speed you do, though, so I can understand the logic of just trading that out best you can. But 21 mutas out of 12, and that snowball effect, very real. Solar very well may take us to the ace match with this lead he's just gained.
Yeah, I think so. Queen's coming in here, Lings on the ground, or maybe they focus fire the hatchery for a little too long. Lings are actually counter-attacking, which isn't a terrible idea, but Rogue, he's going to meet Solar's own Lings, so that it doesn't really work out like that. It doesn't work out at all. Rogue just saved his base, and he does have those queens, and he will have another upgrade, but can that make up for 5 mutas?
No, and the counterattacks have been too good. Or have not been very good, excuse me. The defense from Solar has been too good. Now he's finally getting his own Ling count, being satisfied with his Mutalisk lead. And Rogue's not had to deal with a lot of Lings. He's only had to deal with the Mutas so far. Lings get underneath this. They're going to surround the Queens. They're going to soak the hits. And you're right, I do think This will probably be game. The Mutas popping is just getting killed as soon as they spawn. 14 and following. Solar still sitting on 22 Mutas, looking strong, looking good. Lings for a rampage on the ground below this. Some even get through to the main. GG gets called, and Solar will tie this series up now 2-2. All right, not bad. Not bad at all. But we are going to go to a commercial break of 2 minutes, guys, before we get into this ace match. So do stick around. I will see you soon. Alright guys, we're back. Thanks for watching that break. We're actually loading into game number 5 right now. It's going to be going down on New Gettysburg. And just trying to make sure we keep this spoiler free. Give me a sec. Boom. Let's hop into it. Spawning here in the bottom right side. Here in the ace match, game number 5. It's going to be the yellow Zerg player, Rogue. Actually, the scores down below are mixed up. There we go.
How are they mixed up? It's 2-2.
The colors. Get over yourself.
Ah, okay. Because you like swapping. The bottom left as the red Zerg, it is Solar.
Has nothing to do with swapping and everything to do with the fact that I have Solar and Rogue's name on the overlay. Because these dummies both played barcodes.
Yeah. The game swapped it for you.
Yeah. Alright, so
Good, bro.
I just want to remind everybody, this isn't a group. This isn't everything you've seen up to this point. It is going to be just this best of 5. It's the round of 8. The winner moves on to play a best of 7 in the semifinals, and of course, in traditional TING fashion, the finals will be a best of 9. Unless information changes and the sponsors want things done quicker, we will not be extending nor shortening those, as they give us some pretty awesome sets last season as well. Although, I still think the irony here is, our round of 8 has not been super spectacular so far. The ZvZ's been pretty good. The ZVP with Nurture before, despite being an 03, was pretty good. But it was our round of 8 last season that was just truly epic with games. And the semifinals and finals were a bit bleh. So I'm hoping because our round of 8 so far hasn't been super crazy, our semifinals and finals will be even better for it. We already know that it's not all Zerg, with Patience having beaten Nurture. We have at least one Protoss in there so far.
Woohoo!
Also, quick reminder that the order the matches are being cast in today are not reflective of the order of the matches on the bracket. You'll have to actually go to the Wikipedia page to see that, because we're playing based on player schedules, not based on like rankings on the round of 8.
Well, they both open up standard on New Gettysburg. The brackets for tomorrow's WCS has been announced.
Okay, well, we'll look at that later. Quick question for you, though, on this map in particular. So we saw them both go mutas before. We know Rogue likes to go mutas in general. But with the dumb air blockers and the bigger air disk space, do you think we see that again out of Rogue?
I don't know. It's a very far off question.
I would hope he doesn't go mutas. Like I feel like if Rogue actually goes mutas, that'll be detrimental to him just because of the map.
Maybe. Thing is that I think if they're going to go mutas already on 3 bases and they're already using the northern side, so it wouldn't even be about the air blockers.
That's a fair point.
But
yeah.
we'll see.
I like watching Lynx fight. That's obviously not going to happen here to any big extent. We do have the Ro8 coming down pretty quick. Out of Solar this time, actually. Whoa, full role reversal. Production tab messing with me because of the barcodes. Because it's been Solar every game who goes for this Baneling Nest first, cancels it maybe, you don't know, and it's Rogue who goes for the Ro8. So it almost makes me wonder, like...
Solar goes to the Ro8 now.
Right,
Yeah.
So that's what I wonder, like, did they give me the wrong colors for this last game? Did they swap? No, they were consistently the same colors all games, but still, it's like, okay, this is weird.
I guess a little. It's actually a bit weird to see Rogue trying to force a Baneling fights, but he is going to try and force at least a tiny one. Initially, gets Solar to make more drones, or to make more army than drones, while he makes more drones. He gets a 3rd base up. Solar does see this with his Overlord, although just barely. It's very, very not... That's very close to not seeing the bridge.
So, by the way, I did poke Hydra with no response yet. So let's hope this is not going to be too bad for scheduling. But that Baneling Nest, rather the Banelings coming from the backside worked out really well to break that bridge. Very nice.
He's actually really committing more than I thought he would.
But
maybe more than Solar thought he would.
Right, because Solar was still squeezing a couple drones here, which is perhaps going to get him killed, question mark? At the same time, if he gets away with it, he gets ahead. But, oh, there's no links to come in and execute those very low drones. Oh, dear.
That this is problematic. Like, okay, Rogue's gonna go into an even further all in with a Roach Warren and just more and more Lings. He can't deal with the scouting though. The Overlords see wherever his Lings are going, and if it's not a surprise, then Solar should have enough Roaches at any point and more drones. I'm quite worried for Rogue, actually. This might have been the wrong choice, but if Solar ever misinterprets what's going on and starts droning again, he could die.
He is droning, that's the thing. But right now he's doing that
Bit.
thing. He's like conservatively droning, right? Like make 3 roaches, make 2 drones, make 3 roaches, make 2 drones. But oh no, this might get him killed. I'm actually, I'm very sad because like to see him take 2 games off of Rogue is nice, right? Solar's not a C-list like no-name Korean. He's actually a pretty good Korean Zerg. But this is something where I hope this simple mistake doesn't cost him.
He saw how many Lings there were, and I guess Rogue didn't even bother going for Roaches. It is just all in with Lings and Banelings.
That's a lot of Banelings. If the Roaches are clumped, this could be deadly. I love that he pulls them back to try and split them up a bit. Banelings do go off on the Roaches. That front line going to break pretty quickly, but the Ling count for Rogue not holding too strong either. I take that back. We got Solar's own Lings coming into the fight. It's getting a little bit scrappy, a little bit dangerous, but despite having almost no health, a lot of these Roaches do live.
Yeah, and Solar has so many more drones. I think that Rogue...
He's like a double now.
Lost this game. He hasn't killed the 3rd base. He hasn't gotten any drones.
So much focus on that army. I mean, you could... You're right, like this... I thought that was a push that would have very much toppled over Solar, but my moroseness for Solar, I guess, now taking it back, and we'll see if...
Rogue's lost. This is the only best of 5 they're playing. It's not double elimination or anything.
Yeah.
This would be Rogue out of the TING, and that would mean that everyone who was invited back is out.
Showing invites are worthless, and we should never do them again.
Yeah, exactly. But seriously, that would be pretty good. In fact, Solar, I think, is having, like... There's, like, one more chance for Rogue to do something, and that's, like, a severe misplay by Solar. But Solar getting his own Baneling Nest, looking for that not to happen, but he pushes out with his Roaches.
Oh, well, back not against the wall, and several of the Roaches not fighting. Yeah, and he's still got enough to take this on, so... Yeah. That's Rogue gonna fall back and try and consolidate what little he has. But what little he has is just, frankly, that little and not much.
I really wonder why Rogue chose this map to do this all in on. I guess there was a chance he could have pushed back the Overlords enough, and the northern part wouldn't have been scouted. Or maybe he thinks that the southern bridge would never be scouted because, you know, why would you ever use it? It's way too risky. But I feel like this is something that is going to benefit more from not being scouted in its entirety. But it was.
He's just gonna tap out. I don't blame him. I think he knew exactly where he was at in the game. So that does, yeah, officially knock out every single player invited back from Season 1 of the TING Open.
Oh, damn.
Okay, so I want to actually speak on that for a moment. First off, congratulations to Solar. To beat Rogue, I think, is a huge personal accomplishment, but also great for his tournament career here in this tournament. But... like, we invited these players not because we thought, like, oh, these are the best players in the world, they're going to have an easy time, and they don't need to waste time with the player. We just wanted to reward them a little bit for past performances. So I just want to stress that's how the invites really worked. You know, Rogue winning Season 1, Mana, Snoot, and Masa each winning their groups. But it is crazy to me that none of them actually made it through to this point. I mean, Rogue being the furthest, obviously, with a round of 8, but even then stops at the round of 8s. I think that just, again, it speaks to the volatility of StarCraft too, right? Like, for example, Nurture, Hearthstone, whoever, they can win a tournament 1 week, big-ass DreamHack, Home Story Cup, and then the next week losing something. Again, Nurture did just win crazy tournament, 3-0'd by Patience. So it's... I don't know. But, okay, so here's our problem now. Hydra still hasn't responded to me, so I'm going to try poking some folks at the Root House and see what's going on. Luckily, we will have a bit of downtime regardless because we have to play some sponsored material. So, guys, girls, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here for the TING Open. Zyra, if you want to tell them a little bit about TING while I cue this up?
Alrighty then. TING is a U.S. mobile phone service company. It's unfortunately not available to you Canadians, and the Europeans, well, you guys are spoiled already, so whatever. But if you want to learn more or get some dollars off the store, go to Ting, bttv.ting.com. And you can get $25 off anything in the store. And our goal is still that 40. So if you're looking to swap or you just need a new phone or anything, I could bring back Season 3.
Yeah, to explain that a bit better, because you just kind of threw a number out there with no context. Good job.
I said you could buy from the store or sign with the
Our goal
service.
is 40. What 40 for what, man? What does that even mean? We don't know.
Well, it
Probably
is from buying this from the store or from the service, right?
that's what will add the number up. But the number I'm getting
Yeah.
at here that you left out was the fact that the amount of referrals, the amount of people who use it, that's what ends up sending us into that season 3. If 40 people are using Ting by the end of this, we'll have season 3 probably. We talked to Jesse about this too, by the way. We don't want to put it back to back. I think we did actually have a problem putting Ting season 1 and season 2 so close together. So ideally, we'd aim for this season 3 to be closer to the end of the year. But let's say hypothetically, we only have 23 people signed up by the end of this, right? I think that's around where we're at right now. So like, I would hope more people like using Ting and consider using it. But that being said, this number can extend forever. So 5 months from now, a year from now, whenever we hit that 40 count, Ting will most likely want to throw another tournament with us, which will be awesome. They're also partnering with us for some Overwatch stuff. If you guys didn't see, ZombiRub being really awesome, taking care of most of the work for that. We got the Gosu Gamers brackets set up, so if you guys play Overwatch amateurly with friends, if you know a professional team, there's no limits. You'll be able to sign up over there, and it is Ting sponsoring that once again as well. So they're being really awesome and help us do some really cool stuff. That being said, though, we're going to go to commercial break, listen to Kyra tell us about stuff regarding Ting, and we'll see you guys soon.